Now I'm close.
There you go. And my voice travels.
Yeah.
Last week, Lyrica was a little quiet. And there was no way for me to raise her voice, the sound of her voice, up, because then that made my voice sound insane, like it was right up to the microphone. Yeah. So I'm far back, Lyrica's closer.
Oh, I'm closer, yeah, for more context.
Yes. It's still, you just got a quiet voice, I think.
Here we go. I just need to sit over it.
I think you need a, what is it? Is that what it's called? Like in acting class, in like theater acting classes? Project your voice.
Yeah, project like from your diaphragm.
Yeah. Diaphragm. It's been an eventful week for us.
Yeah.
You don't need to delve too much, but I'll go into it. Saturday, I found $10 on the ground at a club.
Hell yeah!
So that's
we love free money.
So that's how I'm looking at my life. Nothing happened Monday. Nothing. Absolutely happened. Something happened. I'm now officially single.
Mm.
My boyfriend. How are you still so quiet, or is that me?
I think that was you.
Oh, okay.
Because I wasn't talking.
Boyfriend of a year and I think like 3 months ended. Luckily, he's in Japan, so I don't get to see him.
That is true. That is a good thing.
Yeah. Saturday, I drop off his key, and he has to go through jump through a lot of hoops to get the key to me because he ain't coming near my apartment. I will go Gypsy Sisters on him.
There you go.
I will fight him.
It's understandable.
But yeah, nasty breakup. I did not break up with him. He broke up with me.
Damn.
Give me sympathy points. So if you're single, if you're around the ages of 20, how old am I? I'm about to turn 24. 20, we'll go 22 to like 28. If you're single, hit me up.
Yes.
Well, not right now. Give me like 3-4 months.
Yeah.
Let me more, and then sure. But yeah, eventful week. I'm in the depression stage of grief. I don't need him. All I need is ice cream. I have ice cream left over.
Yeah,
from Monday.
ice cream.
I'm going to eat it. I think the universe works in mysterious ways, and someday I'll figure out why it wanted to fuck me in the ass. Also, I found out my brother is probably going to watch these episodes now. And not the 17-year-old. The other one, the middle one, is going to start watching them.
What was he in middle school?
We literally just had this conversation, and I can't remember. And if I'm slurring, I just woke up from a nap, so I'm still kind of waking up.
He's probably heard worse.
Oh yeah, from my parents, he's heard 10 times worse. But yeah, I told him about it and how our technically first real episode, but our second episode was Finding Nemo, and he was like, I need to watch this.
Oh,
I was like, oh, that's cute.
Support them.
So if you're listening, you know who you are. I won't say your name out of respect, but also, you know who you are.
Shout out to you.
Shout out to you. Happy birthday. Your birthday's not even close.
Happy early birthday.
Happy half. Maybe. Might be half. I don't know math. Wait, no. May is half. You're almost there. Yeah. Good enough. But, yeah. I'm really tired right now. I didn't realize how tired I was until I woke up. And I'm like, let's record. I'm going to eat. I'm going to bed. I'll go back to bed.
Solid plan.
But you want to talk about your week or no?
It's just, sometimes families be fighting and you just deal with it.
You just deal with it. So she's having family problems. I'm having sad boy hour times. Yeah. But so you're doing well. At least your nails look pretty. I chewed mine off.
Well, there you go.
I got really anxious. So I chewed shit off. Yeah. Oh, also broke up with me at work. So I was just crying in my bathroom at work.
What horrible timing.
And okay, now looking back, at the time it wasn't funny, but now looking back, I just imagine somebody walking by and all they hear is, let me back up because this is going to be loud. All they hear from the bathroom is, like somebody died. Yeah, my will to live just died. No, Now looking back, I thought that would be so funny if somebody just walked by and heard that. They're like, oh, somebody's having like a mental break. And it would be so much funnier if people thought I was having a mental break because of work.
You're just in the bathroom like, this job, I can't handle it.
No, I love my job, but just thinking about that would have been hilarious. Also, the guy that I was talking to, the cop, a while back before Benji. Oh, well, his name's out there now. Before him, the cop, he sent me just a thing of, like there was a shootout between cops and this dude or something. He just sent me a link to it with no context.
Okay.
Oh.
Important info.
Oh. One of his cop buddies got shot last night. That's what it was. Oh shit.
Yikes.
Oops. He did.
Yeah, how do you respond to that one?
Like that. Yeah. Oh shit. Oh. He did?
I
don't know.
That's wild.
Oh.
He dead?
No. Sorry. No. He texted me back saying he has a wedding gift Saturday.
Wedding.
He owes me.
I know. Tell that wedding person.
I almost gave him $10.
Oh, did you?
No, I'm not. Yeah, the $10 I found on the ground, I almost gave it to him. He went, no, you found it. You keep it. And I went, you take it. I was drunk.
Okay. I would have been like,
oh, yeah. The suspect. Wait, what? Oh, okay. Oh, cool. I think he was thinking that I was asking if the suspect was dead. Oh. And I went, no, obviously the guy who got fucking shot.
Oh.
Well, maybe the suspect got shot. But anyways, because of the events that have happened to both of us, I'm not just going to limit it to both of us. You good?
Oh, yeah.
You're like spacing out.
Yeah, I'm just sorry.
We didn't end up watching a movie.
Yeah.
We were supposed to watch it Monday, but, Monday went down the toilet. So instead, I forced her to watch Gypsy Brides. Nope, Gypsy Sisters. I was thinking of the wedding. Gypsy Sisters, and unravel at the sheer crazy of it. And we ate Dairy Queen. Mm-hmm. And Tuesday, and then I hung out with my family because Big Boy sat still. So, we didn't watch a movie. So, instead, we're going to do a topic to make it nice and easy for us.
Yes. To
have a nice conversation where I don't need to research. We don't need to research. You can just discuss. It was, why women like horror movies.
Yes.
That's what we pinned, right?
Yeah, that was what we decided, which is a literal, film class that I took in college. It was called Why Do Women Love Horror Films? And we just watched horror movies, and we talked about them, and maybe that's what kind of drew me back into horror, because I used to love horror movies when I was 10, really wanting to watch them, even though they traumatized me. And then I kind of stopped watching them, other than, kind of watch the, Conjuring and those kind of movies as they came out.
Sorry. Choked on water.
But then the kill counts also helped me get back into it from dead meat. So this is a topic that I've been thinking about a lot since I took the class, and then getting back to the horror.
Sorry.
And it's very fascinating.
Yeah. As a woman myself, I do not like horror movies. I don't like them. Mm-hmm. They make me sad. They hurt me. Yeah, I'm a physical empath, and Lyrica's a normal empath, where she's emotional for other people and feels bad for them. Well, I don't usually, but I physically feel that. So if Lyrica hurt herself, I start hurting. No, I don't start hurting myself. I feel the hurt myself. Yeah. So if she stubs her foot, my foot starts hurting.
It's like a phantom
pain.
Pain.
Yeah. So that's why I don't like WWE, because like they'll hit their head, and so my head starts hurting or my neck. And so the only way I can watch it is if I'm drunk, because I don't feel anything while I'm drunk. So I know, like, I like the kill counts because usually, because they're on YouTube, and if he wants it to be monetized, he will usually blur stuff. Unless he's sponsored. Even so, that's a little bit easier because it's not like the actual movie because he cuts and he commentates. So it's his voice, and his voice is very soothing to me. He's like now my comfort person with movies.
Yeah. Well, I think I was just listening to the Dead Meat podcast, and he was talking about how a lot of people who don't like horror movies watch his videos. And then they were discussing why, even though like parts of the horror movie are being shown. I think this was an episode where they were talking about the art of jump scares. And he said because while you're watching his kill count, he's being funny, he's commentating, you're not watching the full movie. And another big thing is sound. Like during his videos, there's always the Dead Meat like theme song, or like the song that they use is always playing in it, so like you don't have like
sounds scary music.
Yeah, it's not unsettling music.
Unless he like puts the music in from the movie, but that's only for a tidbit, and it's only because he's like ranting about how good the soundtrack is or something.
Yeah, so people like you who don't want to watch the horror movies but are intrigued by that.
Yeah, it's really hard because I'm at a standpoint where I want to watch them, but I'm just way too scared to, because I don't know. They don't have a category that says will contain jump scares. Yeah. So you don't know when you're going into a horror movie if it's going to have jump scares or gore or not, unless you watch the trailer, I guess. But even sometimes I've seen trailers and it doesn't look like there's any jump scares. It doesn't look very gory, and there is gore, there are jump scares, and that makes me so upset.
And just watch them and vet them for you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you did that with the Evil Dead movie. You told me.
Oh, yeah.
She texts me, she's like, you cannot watch that movie.
You really don't watch that. It's not good.
Jeff watched that. He went, it's not that bad. He said it wasn't that bad.
I think why that one got me is there's a specific kind of horror. It's a very bleak, like, disturbing kind of disturbing imagery, as well as disturbing like ideas, and just a sense of like dread is my kind of horror movie that gets me, because this is the same thing as what happened with Smile. Smile is like pretty bleak. It's also like relentless, like something's constantly happening where you don't have a lot of breathing time, and there's no humor. It's just bleak and has disturbing things going on, very gory as well. I think is my like recipe for being afraid, where some people like ghost movies or what get them because the fear of not seeing is, scarier than seeing. But for me, seeing the shit is like... Yeah.
See, I don't think ghost movies really get me. Like, we watched the Paranormal Activity movies, all of them. And I wasn't too scared about them. Old movies, I'm not really scared because obviously they're not really scary because of the time we're in now. For me... the horror movies that I like and enjoy are the ones that are like psychologically psychologically real, because that's the stuff that kind of makes me think a little bit more. Midsommar is one of my favorite ones because it's not horror as into like gory or jump scares. Not as many jump scares. I think there's maybe couple, but they're like not really like jump scares with a scary person. It's more like a
movie is
like
more
a hard cut and it kind of jumps. Yeah, it's more like this is a real thing that could happen. Yeah, obviously maybe not to this extent, but like cults are a real thing that do happen still nowadays and did in the past and will probably happen in the future. So like that stuff kind of, the realistic horror scares me more. Or like I watched the it's kind of half realistic, half not, but maybe. I watched the kill counts, and I want to watch the movies of the Don't Breathe. First Don't Breathe. That kind of stuff.
No, sorry, I don't mean to clap into the mic, but I forgot that's there.
What?
Brief, real quick, I'll let her talk, and I'm going to remove the chemicals that I left out for the cat to get in here.
Ella decided to pee on everything. One of our cats peed on everything, so Lyrica had to clean it.
She was sniffing the nozzle. I was afraid it was going to get in her mouth.
The Don't Breathe is kind of realistic, breaking into a house, and he starts killing people. Like, that kind of stuff. I think that is effective horror for me, where it's scary, but it's not to the point where I physically can't watch it. Or, like, Saw movies I can't watch.
Yeah.
Even though I'm interested, or Final Destination also really gets me. I really want to. I want to watch the movies, but I know my limits, and I will be in physical and mental pain while watching them.
Yeah.
Seeing them do stuff. And I like good gore, but not when it's obsessively eerie. Like, and broken bones I don't like. That's just an ick on my part. Or neck, eyes in between the fingers or the toes, like stuff like that gets me. So I'm like so wound up right now. It's freaking me out, but I was talking about our preference. But so you did take a class on it. How was the class like structured?
So the way that it was structured is it was very specific because it was the same professor that I took all my film classes with. And what she likes to do is we are shown a film every week, and then we write 3 film papers, so it's like broken up. So like we'll watch like 5, and then you choose one that you want to do a paper on, and then you do like another 5 or like how many.
Were they like in categories?
No, it was just movies that she found interesting. The only real like sense of like structure was she would normally put older movies near the beginning, newer movies near the end, and basically she gave us a little summary before we watched the movie. When we watched the movie, we just discuss it like openly, and then the papers were also open-ended where we got to choose what exactly we wanted to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But the why do women love horror films was like our kind of thorough line through like watching the movies.
Mm-hmm.
But like the class wasn't set up to be like, let's find an answer and like research about it. It was more like coming up with our own thoughts through watching the films, why that is. And also a lot of it was based off of gendered experiences too, being why do women love horror films?
Did the professor, like, how do they pick these movies out? Were they like the highest regarded in like women ratings, or like how did they pick out those movies specifically for the topic of why do women like horror?
It was the way that a lot of the film classes are run. If they have like a big like overarching topic instead of like something specific. Like I took a Japanese and Asian cinema class, so of course like we watched the classics for Japanese cinema, and there was like, more of a structure of that. For this, it was based off of her kind of opinion on what she thought would fit the class's theme the best, but also based off of reviews. Like, we watched Jennifer's Body, which I was very excited about, and like that one was a big thing with it becoming a cult classic for women and also LGBTQ people. So I think she also based them off of movies that were kind of centered towards women. Like we also watched The Babadook, which is about like motherhood. So like I think she chose films that also were more aimed towards women rather than a film that's more aimed towards a man. Like I guess an example being like the idea of, horror slashers being very like sex, like, but for men, like, the sex is gratuitous
Mm-hmm.
for, like, men's gaze. Like, oh, look at the big-breasted blonde woman who's gonna get killed after
Impaled.
she has sex. And
yeah, it was very sexist.
Yeah.
It's the older, aimed towards men movies.
Yeah, so we, like...
And then the virgin always survives.
Yeah, exactly. We looked more at things that seemed to be more centered towards women or more, like, vague. Like, we did watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, which I wouldn't say that's, like, particularly, like, geared either way, gender-wise, because it's not, like, the stereotype of what a horror movie is. Like, that movie's actually not very, like, gory, even though it's kind of revered to be. It's people, like, thinking more about it, and then what actually happens. And no sex, so, like, that one is very kind of neutral. Not saying that you can't have sex in a horror movie, and it can,
Yeah, it's usually used as a vehicle to kill the quote-unquote horror.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think that's how, if I had to, like, get into her brain and understand why she chose those movies, that's what I would say. Because she... Like, there wasn't really a reason, because, it's your professor, so you're just like, oh, the professor is, like, this is her class, this is how she's setting it up, and the film professors, I think, had a lot more openness to do whatever they wanted, kind of. So.
It's not as structured. I really wish I did take a film class. I never ended up... I took more... I don't say academic, because those are academic in a way, but not art.
Yeah.
I didn't do that until I had so many electives when I was older. When I was in my senior year, I think I took the floral design and the pottery class. Well, but I wish I took a film class. That was 10 times. I get to sit in class and watch a movie? Hell yeah, I want to do that.
I slept during some of them. Like,
what other movies did you watch? Babadook, Jennifer's Body, Texas Chainsaw.
Watched, well, see, because I've been in so many film classes that...
They're mixing together?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we watched Cat People in...
That sounds like you're beautiful.
I think we watched that in, that class, but that could have also been in my LGBTQ class, because... I don't know, they blur, but I think we watched it in Why Do Women Love Horror Films, because that's a pretty early on horror film from, like, the 1950s, I think. And it has to deal with, like, women. I actually wrote a paper on that one. But gosh, I can't remember the other ones we watched. Oh, we watched Candyman. I know we watched that. I wish I had the syllabus. I probably do somewhere. I tried to look it up, because I remember she used to email us them because she hated, like, paper.
Oh.
But I don't think I can...
Please don't hit the mic, go Yanni.
Find it anymore. I found my LGBTQ one, though, which was kind of cool. My, syllabus for that. So that was kind of cool. But.
So what was the overall consensus? Why do women like horror movies?
Well, it was kind of broad.
Then what was, like, said?
One...
Like, for you, personally, well, in the class, what did you think? Why do women like horror?
For me, it was the sense of, a lot of horror films can do, like, a lot of stuff with the feeling of otherness and, like, with monsters and stuff like that, which is what... like, being a woman, you can sometimes feel the otherness of being, like, not the same rights, not the same, like... Expectations that men have. Like, if you're not a straight, white, heterosexual, like, cisgendered, middle-class to upper-class man, you're gonna have the most, like... not as much privilege as them, so, like, you can see yourself as an other, and so it's kind of an outlet for women to, like, go into those and see, like, otherness put on screen, whether or not it was good or bad. Because we did talk a lot in my film classes, because I also did an LGBTQ theory, is representation in general, and some representation could be bad. But, like, having the discussion of, well, even though it's bad, at least, like, there's something out there. And so, like...
It's women, like a stepping stone.
Yeah. Women would adopt, like, these representations and kind of see themselves in them, and also be able to relate to them better, like, relate to the villain more, or, like, take on these movies as, like, their own kind of comfort, where even if it has a representation that's not the best, you can kind of revel in that a little bit. Another big thing being the final girl, which I don't have the research on that, because it's actually a very, like, researched topic. That whole entire, like, book was written on, because there's a lot of things going on there, which I don't have, like, the best research, because I did read that a long time ago, but I haven't read it for years. But the final girl is always the one woman that, you know, survives throughout the entire movie. The one who, like, she's typically getting chased.
For some reason, even though she does the dumbest shit, she always survives.
Yeah.
Or do you think that having a final girl, the traditional look of a final girl, because that's kind of changed over time what a final girl looks like. But back in the day, the final girl was conventionally pretty. She was she covered up a little bit more than all the other girls. She wasn't like the other girls.
Yeah.
She was sometimes the smart or nerdy girl, usually almost always the virgin.
Yeah, exactly.
So having that change over time is probably seen as a really good thing, but back then, could that have possibly, for a male gaze, looked down on women who weren't like that?
Yeah, I definitely could see that, like, being like, oh, this final girl, she's usually, like, the pure, you know, like, person. Yeah.
She poops smells. Guyani went to the bathroom.
Woo, go.
Was that Guyani or was that Ella?
It was Go-Go.
Ooh, Goyani. Sorry, I almost blamed Ella.
Look at her face.
Goyani, you good? What'd you eat? Dad?
Damn.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna spray. You talk, I listen.
So I think. Ooh, yeah. That's.
Where's the? Oh, and the candle's going.
Yeah. So, I think they could both see themselves in the final girl, depending on who they were, but could also see, like, that idea of, like, a very pure woman and how she can, like, make it through. I don't know, kind of also being it's very, like, complex, which is why the final girl thing is very in depth. There's a lot of complex emotions in regards to it, and the idea of also how women are treated in horror movies, but yet there's a final girl, not a final guy, so usually the guys get killed, which is also an interesting idea, which I also think also feeds into why women love horror films, is being like, you know, sometimes we just want to see a man get killed and us be the triumphant one at the end.
Even though it's not who the final girl doesn't represent, like, who we are.
Yeah.
We might sleep a little bit, we might be risque.
Yeah.
Or we might not be as smart as the final girl, but at least a girl survived.
Yeah,
Out
exactly.
of all of these people, a girl survived. Even though sometimes she's dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
They do the dumbest things sometimes, and I'm like, kill her! Just kill her!
Yeah. So, I think that's both why you can see, like, why women would relate to her. But also, She does go through a battle as well, like and makes it out. But the purity thing is always interesting to me because like she's not every woman, and it's actually changed now. Like you see a lot of more competent final girls who they're like battling it out or they're using their wits.
Can I tell you? Sorry, that reminded me of Your Next. I've never seen the movie. But I watched that kill count so many times because I love that movie. I really should watch it. But I love that kill count. I love the aspect of having a woman who is not traditionally... Because when you see strong women, you see strong women as in, like, really, really buff.
Yeah.
Like, she's a typical size woman. And she's able to fucking beat the shit out of people in this movie. Yeah. And she's smart. She's logical. She comes from a background of survivalism. So, I mean, that's what that reminded me of. Like, I don't really like a lot of other movies like that. But I like those movies. Or the revenge movies.
Yeah.
That one movie, Revenge, was directed by a woman.
Yeah.
And wasn't it written by a woman, too? It was like all women who made the actual film. And I think those kind of movies also are what some women like. Not the older ones where the man is coming to revenge the woman.
Yeah.
Or something. But like the ones that are women-led. Because people who feel weak feel stronger watching it.
Yeah, exactly.
And they want to relate to something. Taking back that power, even if it's not their power. But it feels like their power. Yeah.
Yeah,
Psychology, bitch.
Yeah, so it's kind of unfortunate though because there is like historically in the horror films like the girl who has sex gets murdered, like the pure one makes it to the end. So it is very interesting why women would then watch that and be like, maybe this message that's being sent to me is not like a message that I can get behind, but I'm still like intrigued.
I think what balances it out is because usually the forum is the quote unquote whore dies first. The next one is the jock and usually is the one who is with the quote unquote whore. And so I think that kind of balances it, being like, well, he did it too, and he's technically also the quote unquote whore too.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe might balance it out. Where then usually there's not really another girl there, really, is there? So it's the horror. I'm thinking of Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah,
because they kind of did like that, where it was a girl who died first, then the jock, the fool. No, wait, the fool was supposed to die next, or not supposed to, but could have died next. The fool, the jock, the nerd, which sometimes can be a boy or girl.
Yeah. And
then, or the scholar, they call it. The nerd.
Yeah.
And then the virgin, which is funny because in the movie she's like, I'm not a virgin, which is hilarious because she was having an affair with a professor.
Yeah.
So I think that movie really encapsulated because she wasn't even a virgin. She was having an affair with a married man.
Yeah.
So technically, on book, she should have been the quote-unquote whore. But instead, it was the pretty blonde girl who did it. So it was very interesting. Probably because also she was with a guy, and in the formula, she dies having sex and everything. So
yeah, which is like...
which she can't really do.
That's what the like satire of that movie is they place them in those roles because, you know, they kind of changed how they were so that way they would fit the traditional role of like, you know, blonde, like
ditzy,
dumb,
whore,
and then jock, which
was funny because in the beginning, Chris Hemsworth, what was the character's name?
Oh, I
can't remember but it was Chris Hemsworth, and his character, even though he was a jock and in those movies, the stereotype, he's the dumb jock.
Yeah.
But in the beginning of the movie, before anything really happens, he was like telling her, oh, you shouldn't bring this book. You should bring this academic big book instead because this theory is 10 times better. And so like it showed like he's insanely intelligent for being the jock. And which is weird because then he should have been the scholar, but he was more fitting to be the jock because he did sports.
Yeah.
And but also, what's his name? Holden? I think Holden. The guy with the pretty eyes who's on Grey's Anatomy. He was also a jock, but also smart, so they had to tip him the other way.
Yeah.
And the fool was
like
just the druggie.
I think they
did it in a very cool and interesting way.
Creators, I think, were also like the creators of the actual like
movie.
Or like not the movie, but the people who are running
the simulation, I guess. The sacrifice.
They are choosing who's like most stereotypical to that nature. Like you see Chris Hemsworth, you'd be like, oh yeah,
dumb jock,
burly, bigger guy, muscles. Like he's got to be the dumb jock then.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why they pushed him more into that role to be like,
yeah. That movie is just really good. Yeah, that's a really good movie.
It's a very good commentary on horror, but
explaining all horror movies are just to be a sacrifice.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. I wish I like read more on The Final Girl because it's like a lot of interesting stuff that is a little bit more researched and highbrow than I typically like to go.
Well, you could do like your blog and do an entry on The Final Girl. Be a more like an academic paper.
Something I'd have to prepare for, but yeah, so I definitely think that's where some of the love comes from, and also sometimes women, like, I think one of the things we talked about is the expectations put on women outside of, like, in the outside world where, you know, you're expected to kind of hold yourself a little bit in a more
literally what I was thinking.
Classy light, so then, or like, you know, you can't be promiscuous,
but you also can't be a prude.
Yeah, and so like that kind of thing where when you go to the horror movie, you can kind of just let that all go, and you can just watch people be stabbed and like indulge in like the like idea of a horror movie, like, oh, like I can watch this like insane things that are going on and kind of let that idea of what I'm supposed to be like drop, because I'm here to watch the movie. Like those expectations, you know, aren't put on you when you're like watching a movie. Well, like the movie can do that, but no one's like you're all indulging in this one thing together instead of, you know, if you're walking on the street, somebody could judge you, but if you're just sitting in a movie theater, somebody can make, you know, a snap judgment, but you're all there to do something and like indulge in the same experience, so you can kind of drop those away and feel like it's a safe space to let out that like anger. Like a big thing we talked about was anger, like anger at the world, and being able to go into a horror movie and be like, yes, like I can watch these like people get killed and like kind of, you know, have a release a little bit of what's going on. Or also I think that also goes back to the final role where they can watch these movies and indulge in them, but know that at the end the girl makes it out. So I think there's a lot of interesting ideas there. I wish I had my syllabus still. I could have whipped it out.
From a psychology standpoint, what I would think why women would like it is more like that, where society has a view of a woman's anger, especially minority women. Yeah. Like the stereotype of an angry black woman or something like that. There's a kind of social pressure that if if men are allowed to express their anger really anyway, whether it's physical or not physical. Because like if we go to a bar and we see two guys fucking brawling it out, most people are like, yeah, they're fucking men.
Yeah.
That's what they do. But if you see two girls doing that, then it's more like they're crazy bitches. They're insane. They're doing this in public. So there's two different expectations of expression of anger. So I think because of that, men can express their anger outwardly, but women feel like they have to internalize it.
Exactly, yeah.
And so when they watch horror movies, it releases it, like you said, it kind of releases that kind of the anger that they're feeling or they have felt, and it kind of alleviates it. And what I would think the reason why it alleviates it is because of mirror neurons. So if you're watching something, like for example, a mirror neuron is a neuron in your brain that emulates certain motions, sometimes movements, but mostly, movements. Like for example, if somebody's arm is amputated, a way they treat phantom pains, like they feel like their arm is there still and it's hurting. How they treat it is they put the two arms in a box, and they cover the amputated hand, and there's a mirror on the other side with the non-amputated hand, and they like put a feather or something on it to stimulate this hand, and it's supposed to trigger the mirror neurons into tricking your brain thinking your other arm is being okay, it's being touched, it's fine. So it's a way to treat that. Or a big thing that I learned is when you're watching an apology video or somebody crying, if you don't feel sad or also feel like you want to cry, if you're a normal functioning human brain, not like somebody or a typical functioning brain, like somebody who has issues with regulating their emotions, or people who have autism, some type of autism on the spectrum, they might not be able to handle those situations or understand those social situations. So those don't really sometimes match up. But if it's a neurotypical brain, if you see somebody crying, your mirror neurons, if it's genuine, want to recreate that. Mm-hmm. So if you're crying, genuinely crying, I too would feel sad. Yeah. Even if it could be something that I don't care about. Like, for example, you break your nail and you start viscerally crying. You've never done this, but if you did, I would feel that sadness too, even though it's a nail breaking and it's like, well, you can just fix it. Yeah. But I would also feel sad. I wouldn't probably cry, but some people like your mirror neurons are really high end, where it's high-end neurons. High-end neurons. But it functions higher than mine do. So when you see somebody or you see somebody cry or you're reading a sad story, your mirror neurons go crazy. Yeah. Because that's why you're an empath. So you emotionally feel the same way because your mirror neurons are mirroring that genuine pain that somebody's feeling. Now, if you don't feel that way, it's not a genuine apology. It's not a genuine emotion. It's something's off. And your brain is so smart that it can tell something's off. Like, for example, the biggest one was Laura Lee when she was apologizing and she was crying all the place. Mm-hmm. You would think, oh my gosh, she's crying. You would want to cry with her. I watched that thing and I didn't feel jack shit. Yeah. So I knew it wasn't a genuine emotion she was feeling. Maybe to her, it felt like a genuine emotion. To the people outside of it, it didn't feel like a genuine emotion or feeling.
It's more like a show.
It's a show. Maybe she really did feel sorry, but she was hyping it up to 20 to make people feel even worse to her. But it does the flip side where it feels so out of here that your brain picks up on it and it doesn't want to mirror it. So I think that's why women who go to movies, horror movies, and they have all this anger, their mirror neurons are watching it. And it's replicating that feeling. And then when it ends, it feels like a resolution to their own pain, to their own anger. So it might be something like that. It might be totally bullshit and people just like watching people, which is funny because you're an empath, but you love horror movies.
Yeah.
But you don't give a fuck. You're like, kill them. And it's funny.
Certain circumstances.
Yeah. But like sometimes you'd be like, just kill them already. Just kill them.
Like when I went to see Evil Dead Rise, spoiler if you haven't seen that, it's about a family, and the family has 2 teenage kids, and then the mom, and then a younger kid that's probably like 8, and then the sister of the mom comes, so the aunt, and yeah, the 2 teenage kids, they get killed, and I was like,
hell yeah,
feeling really bad because, like,
in detail, like on full blast, like,
oh yeah,
gory
shit happened to them, and they came back as deadites too.
Usually, that's like it used to be a cardinal rule: don't kill kids.
Yeah. Oh,
it's changed.
The main the mom who gets possessed by the demon. There's this really cool shot from a peephole because they lock her out when she's trying to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
There's like you're seeing this carnage happen from a peephole of the rest of the people on the flat because they're in an apartment. You see this one kid that was out in the hallway, he just goes running, and she, like, turns and runs, and he just goes flying, and he's got no arms anymore.
Oh, my God.
She ripped his arms off, and he died. And I was like, I felt really bad for him. Because just the way this kid ran after he saw her, and she, like, turned around. I think that's also why this movie really got me, is because it's, like...
No one was safe.
No one was safe. Like, just full out, like, carnage, and, like, not... nice, like, well, not no horror movie's nice, but like this demon is out to be mean and like awful. And so just that scene scared me because just like just the way she turned and like you see the kid run off and you don't see what happens to him, but he comes flying back. He's got no arms and he's dead.
Yeah,
but yeah, it killed the teenagers, and in that circumstance, I was really feeling the sadness. I think because it was more like they're not random, like, dumb teenagers, like, they're a family, and to see that, like, happen to this family, and the mom is the one who gets possessed by the demon. Well,
so it's a mom killing her kids.
She's technically dead, because when they get possessed, they kill the, like, person, and they're just, like, in their body, and yeah, so killed the children, and so in that circumstance, it was just so sad, because, like, they were all pretty... like, good people. I think that movie set up a really good, like, family unit where, like, you felt them as a family. And so in that circumstance, I was like, no, don't kill them. But, like, other characters, I'm like, yeah, kill them. So I guess it depends on the circumstance.
If it's a shitty person.
Yeah.
Or a shitty character, or just not a good actor, kill them.
The emotional, circumstances as well, I think. If they do a good job of setting up, like, a good emotional impact, if that character gets killed, then that's when I feel it. But, like, the Saw movies, I guess, like, a lot of the time you don't get to know the backstory except for the main people who are playing the Saw games, but you'll see other people and you're like, I don't know a lot about that person.
And usually they're horrible people, so you're kind of like...
So, like, yes!
Yeah.
Kill them!
Sure. Some of them are questionable.
Yeah.
Like... somebody tried to kill himself, and then he was like, no, you need to know the full truth. And I'm like, that's so mean.
The wife in Saw 3D, who had no part of it.
No issue. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to kill her instead of you, bitch.
Yeah, so...
like, what power move?
Yeah. Which I think is interesting, because, being an empath, like, in my own, like, personal opinion, or, like, why I like horror films, not just in general why women like horror films, because do identify, as a woman. Why I like them is, it's that same reason we were talking about. It's kind of a release, where I'm like, I'm not going to go, like, kill somebody.
Yeah. But I think you watch horror movies a lot when you're stressed.
Yeah.
I think I've seen you, when you're stressed out about either work or your personal life, you'll in turn usually watch a horror movie.
Yeah. So, like, it's a release, and also, like, Yeah, like, I'm not gonna go kill somebody in the street to, like, get that, like, feeling of, like, watching the movie, but since they're characters, it's a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Where, like, sometimes it's fun to just watch total chaos happen.
Yeah. And I think that's a healthy mindset to look at it. Like, you can't... Because people always say horror movies lead to violence. That's not always the case. It leads to violence for people who don't understand. Or who have more deeper mental issues. Or trauma and stuff like that. And they go to the point where horror movies don't do anything for them. And so they escalate and escalate. Yeah. Or usually they have stuff that's happened in their past that escalated them anyways, like killing small animals or bullying children and stuff like that. But like, that's a big conversation of, like, do horror movies cause more violence? Because I had this whole debate back in high school. I think it was my freshman year, where it wasn't movies, but it was violent video games. Mm-hmm. And I was assigned this, and I was assigned to write a debate on it does cause violence, and somebody else said it didn't cause violence. By the way, I had an amazing intro to that speech. I do say so myself. I still remember that. Because I was proud of that shit. Yeah. Yes. But while reading the research, I was so upset because I was like, this is nothing. Like, I want to be on the point where it doesn't support. Yeah. And then I returned back to that, I think in my undergraduate, returned back to the psychology of video games, and they've shown no support of more violence towards, again, I'm going to, neurotypical brains, as in not neurodivergent, like autism, like that. Neurotypical as in there's no physical malformations and there's no biological malformations and or just mental disorders in general. Because there's a lot of people who are depressed and still play video games or watch horror movies, and they don't lead to violence. Yeah. It's the people who don't know how to regulate correctly or do it in the wrong way. So, like, for me, I have depression and anxiety. I don't do horror movies, but I play, not super violent, but, like, I play first-person shooters. Yeah. And, but I know, one, that it's a video game.
Second wind.
Oh, I don't spell it. I know that it's a video game, and I know that it's wrong, and I know that it's not something I want to do to release. If I want to release stress, I'll just shoot a person in a video game, and I'm good. Just like if somebody wants to relieve stress, they watch a horror movie, and they're good. So it's the people that push it, and they don't see that it's wrong. Or if they do see that it's wrong, they don't care that it's wrong. So it's those people that we need to watch out for. But I do agree that violent video games or violent horror movies shouldn't be aimed towards kids, or shouldn't allow kids. Because sometimes, like, some of the movies one of my brothers watches, the 13-year-old, he might be listening. You watch too many horror movies. You are so young, and he's watching rated R movies, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Luckily, he's smart. He's a very smart kid, and he's very capable. He knows it's not real. He knows it's wrong to do things like that. And he doesn't, at this point, suffer from anything mentally. No mental issues. So no serious mental issues, I should say. No. He can be a dick sometimes. But
sorry, brother.
He knows it. He was mean to me all yesterday. Because I was sitting next to him, and he's like, I don't want to sit next to you. And I'm like, you're sitting next to me. But, he's smart. He understands. So now I'm not too upset about it, but he was watching them when he was young. But I guess that's also nice because Jeff has somebody to watch horror movies with. Because my mom doesn't really like horror movies. The older brother doesn't really watch horror movies, and the youngest is way too young to watch horror movies. And also, no offense, he's a little bit of a scaredy cat, but also me too, baby. We are not horror fans, so we don't want to watch. He always says he wants to, and then he gets scared. But
just like you always do it. I don't trust her with it
Ella, now. What are you doing? She's sitting in a weird way. I
know. I don't trust her anymore.
Puppy. You're fine. I just wanted to make sure you weren't peeing or pooping. It looked like she was pooping. Like her legs were like. She's going to the vet soon, right? Maybe bring it up with the vet and see what's going on. Yeah. Maybe she just needs to have a diaper on. Oh my god, diaper girl.
Diaper cat.
Are there diapers for cats?
I don't know. I assume they probably wouldn't last very long. They're probably not. Because cats have more flexibility than dogs, so she could just
flip out of it.
Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of dogs, the dogs are super sweet. She's just chilling. She's just chilling. The dogs have been really, really sweet. Oh my god, Pepper's fat as all hell. She's a fat dog. She, Toy Story? The dog in Toy Story?
Uh-huh.
She looks like him.
Oh my gosh.
Buster? What is his name?
Yeah.
Buster? That sounds wrong.
The little wiener dog?
Yeah. Literally looks just like him in the last movie. Mm-hmm. Like how big and old. Yeah. But she's just big and young. And also, Strike has been humping her like crazy. And he's fixed, so we're like, what you doing? Why are you humping? You can't do anything. Also, get off your sister.
You weirdo.
Incestual dogs. But not even incestual. They're not even from the same pack, but still. Yeah. Anyways, how did that turn into that? Oh, we were talking about
watching the cats.
But this is probably going to be a lot shorter than the rest of our videos. We're both tired.
Yeah.
I napped before this.
I was thinking though, one of the things that I talked about a lot was the sense of otherness, and like talked about that a little bit with like being able to connect with like the monsters. But also a thing that I talked about a lot was how horror movies are also a vehicle to kind of discuss topics in like a different and interesting way than doing a film that's more like rooted in reality. Mm-hmm. Like you have more opportunity to talk about things like through like allegories and stuff like that. So, like, one thing that I talked about a lot is if I was, like, going back to school and I had to do a thesis, it probably would be, like, on the take of, like, otherness in films, because that's a big thing that I always talked about, was otherness, whether it be, like, LGBTQ, otherness as being a woman, and how, like, that changes your perspective on what you're watching. Also talking a lot about the female gaze. That was one of my favorite things to talk about, is how a female would view a film differently than a man. And so I think horror films also give a way to discuss otherness in a different way. Even though horror movies are always snubbed for like Academy Awards and award shows, but I feel like they have a lot to offer, which also allows, like, topics such as motherhood to be discussed in interesting ways, which can also be why women love horror films, is, like, if they can discuss motherhood, like, through a horror film. The Babadook is one that discusses that. Kind of A Quiet Place does that too.
Hereditary does it.
Hereditary.
Grief of being a mother.
Families, and also going back to the final girl, like why women are kind of like can be the target of violence, and like, you know, the final girl, even though she makes it out, she is always the one like that the most stuff happens to, because she doesn't die, so she's living through all of these awful like trials and tribulations and
witnessing all of her friends dying, or the people with her dying.
Yeah, so like
or even causing some of their deaths too.
Yeah, you can really start to discuss those things in a new and interesting way. Like, I love the idea of otherness in horror films as a really good place to, like, delve into that. Like, my paper that I wrote over cat people, essentially, in that movie, like, even though it's, like, 1950s, she is dealing with, like, the ideas of not being, like, a sexual being, and, like, when she turns into a panther, essentially, that's, like, when, like, she's putting her sexual energy into, like, she becomes the panther when that happens. And so, like, in that movie, she got to, like, be the villain, technically, but, like, a lot of interesting things were happening with her, and she was an other, being a were-panther, and all this stuff. So, yeah, I think women can connect with being outside of the normal, like, perspective, just because there's a lot of, you know, expectations to be a woman that can be different than men, and being able to really view yourself in those movies.
And I think over time too, kind of playing on that, but it's interesting to see the progression of horror too towards women, because in, like, way back, it wasn't that aimed towards like, women violence.
Yeah.
It wasn't until, I don't even think, like, maybe the Halloween era, it started turning into more violence towards women.
Yeah.
And then it was like that for a long time, maybe even a little bit before. Well, then there's some older movies that there's a lot of violence towards women. Maybe not just, maybe Halloween era was when it started booming more, having violence towards women. And then nowadays it's kind of, like, not as much, where it's targeted not only towards women, but specifically having more violent deaths towards women.
Yeah.
Now they're a lot more equal, at least. Where I think the movies that I'm thinking of, like, in the past, like, not Halloween. I don't want people to think I think Halloween is an attack towards women, because it really isn't. It's not very gruesome towards women as much. I feel like the worst death was probably the male that was stabbed.
Yeah.
And he just was hanging there.
Yeah.
I think that was probably the worst. But I'm trying to find some movies in my head that I'm thinking of. Maybe Nightmare on Elm Street had some pretty, not super gnarly like nowadays, but gnarly in that time where it was aimed a little bit towards women. Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah.
Where there was a curling iron. I'm not saying where the curling iron went up, but it went up something on. That's very, very violent towards a woman.
Yeah.
And so I was very shocked. I didn't watch that movie either, Kill Count Baby. And so hearing that, like, and that time having all that violence towards women, I think that was when the time, like, women probably didn't like horror movies because of how violent they are. And nowadays, I think women are liking it a lot more, because not only is it coming from the female gaze in some movies, but it's not, there's not this undertone of women are evil, so they should die the most gruesome ways as possible. Now it's more either subtle horror, like the realistic horrors, or if it is gruesome, it usually is now equal. Like, I'm thinking Saw, usually those are pretty equal. I think some of the men get worse ones, but most of the time it's pretty equal of how the gruesome acts are. So, I mean, seeing that progression is very interesting. So women probably didn't start liking horror movies until, I don't know, late 90s, maybe early 2000s. Then maybe women started identifying a little bit more. And maybe in, like, the before and during kind of the Halloween time. But I think after that, in that little pocket, there might have been a dry spell for women.
I've definitely seen the shift in, like, the target audience. which kind of is also because more horror films now tend to be about something rather than just girls go and or like
it's not like a slasher.
Yeah, teenagers go cabin, get stabbed, killer chases them. They're more about things now, or they're trying to have more of a meaningful purpose with what they're saying, and then some aren't. But like,
I think the ones that aren't are usually the ones that are satire.
Yeah.
They're not really serious. They're kind of a little bit making fun of today and movies back then.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking Scream. Like, those are all kind of satire.
Yeah.
They're never really serious movies.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think, though, I don't know the demographics of when women went out, but from my understanding, they've always kind of been there, even, like, during the times that, maybe it was in a favorable light, which
maybe not as much.
Yeah. I think my last point may be, like, they go to see them because it's also, like, in a way, like, challenging to see them. So being able to go in and see, like, the idea of women, like, then being able to see that, then they can kind of also start to challenge that idea as well. Like, they see it happening and it's something that they don't agree with, and therefore they can start to challenge those ideas. Maybe that's also
and that's probably why it's changed.
Yeah.
Because I think now directors are smart because they're trying to make a movie out of maybe both gazes.
Yeah.
Where anyone can watch it and they can relate to it in some way.
Exactly.
Like everyone's felt grief in some way.
Yeah.
Maybe not an insane level of grief, like losing a close family member, but like a grief towards a pet, they might relate to just any type of grief, loss, pain. Maybe not motherhood, because some people don't experience motherhood, whether it's choice or physically can't. Yeah. But I bet people have felt protective over someone, whether it's a friend, significant other, family. So they feel that type of motherhood in their protectiveness. So whether it's a male, female, non-binary, like other one, I can't think of the other one. Yeah. Just all the genders.
Yeah, so. Thinking of 2022, the themes were like class, a lot of people can relate to class.
Race,
and then you have like a big one that came out recently, which is more of an art house film, Skinamarink. That's more like
sorry, what?
It's called Skinamarink.
Skinamarink?
Yeah, Skinamarink. That's about like children's fears.
Sick.
And then you have like women's issues just in general. You have the sense of self, like just a lot of stuff that a lot of people can relate to.
Nowadays people want something. Like they don't want like a killer just going around and doing. I think now that's become such a trope.
Yeah.
That now it's like satire if somebody actually does it in seriousness.
Yeah.
There needs to be something, and I think it's because people now are expecting more.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, back then, because horror, it was not a new genre, but it was a new wave, like doing slasher was a new wave of type of horror. But because that's been done so many times over the years, nowadays people are like, well, we want something more. There needs to be something, whether it's like a realistic issue or maybe a timepiece where it was an issue back then, if somebody's ever done that. Doing stuff like that.
Or
reinventing it. Like
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Like Invisible Man. Yeah. Reinventing it into a way where it's not real, super realistic because the technology is not real, but it could be realistic. Yeah. And it's even more, it's scarier because it could happen. I mean, having an abusive husband/boyfriend/partner is a realistic thing to have. So
and technology, and that is scary. Commenting on what you could use technology for.
Yeah, and knowing the government, there's probably a visibility cloak somewhere. So, I mean, like that kind of reinventing stuff is very creative in the way of doing, or just doing things that you never really expected or think about. Yeah. Like Hush is one of the ones that, like, how would somebody who is deaf and mute be able to survive a house invasion?
Yeah.
So that, like, it brings into question different points of views, different perspectives into horror.
Yeah.
Not only for women, but also for different races, different classes, different family types, different disabilities. Yeah. So I think nowadays, even though I don't watch horror, I appreciate it more now than I would have as a child in the 70s and 80s, because those were horror movies just to be kind of scary.
Yeah.
It wasn't a horror. I think nowadays horror movies that make you question things.
Yeah.
Is a lot better, because then you're leaving the movie theater being like, okay, I know this wasn't real, but like I'm thinking like Get Out. Like I know this is like an extreme example of racism, but people can like check themselves, being like, have I done those microaggressions towards people of color? Have I done that? And then it makes them like think about themselves.
Yeah.
And then be like, well, I didn't like it in that movie, so why am I doing it now? It just makes people think, which I like a lot better. I think it's creative.
Yeah, I can definitely say I've become more into horror as the newer movies have been coming out, opposed to like in the past. Like I'd watch them, but now I'm a lot more into them. And the ones that have more substance are usually the ones that I like. Like I know some people just want to watch a slasher, but for me, I really relate to the ones that have a lot of substance or like keeps you thinking or has deeper themes going on.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still like slashers
or funny horror.
Yeah.
Like you really like Bodies, which is a horror
Love
satire.
Bodies.
Which I have not watched yet because she says I have to watch it with her.
Yeah.
And I mean, like Cocaine Bear is a funny horror movie.
We need to watch that.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna get drunk and watch that.
Yeah.
We should make a podcast episode of just us. That's nothing. That is not my alarm going off. No. But it's 8:30 by the way. My bad. Yeah, I think nowadays horror movies just give more.
Yeah.
But there are still horror movies out there that are funny, like the Scream movies, or satire, like this, the scary movies, something like that, where it's funny, but also it's like, yeah, it's really interesting how horror has kind of changed over time.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell to name this episode.
Yeah. That's a good question.
My brain.
Yeah. I mean, I've liked horror movies throughout the years. I think I just generally like more of them now, but not saying that I haven't liked horror movies in the past, because I have, like, Descent was 2000s.
Oh, Descent is really good. But that also had a little bit of more substance to it.
Yeah.
Because it was women only.
Yeah. I loved Jeepers Creepers, but don't love that director. I'll put that out there right away. The movie I like. Director, horrible person.
Illegally watch it.
Yeah.
So you don't give him any money. Is he dead?
No, he's alive.
Oh, so you don't give him any money.
And yeah, that one, no substance, but I like that one.
I mean, it kind of has substance.
Yeah, there's
sibling love.
Yeah.
Siblings say. I mean, like, I feel like all horror movies have some kind of thing to it.
Yeah.
You just have to, I think older movies, you have to look so deep into it to really pinpoint it.
Yeah.
Well, nowadays it's a little bit more, not as nuanced.
Yeah.
So then anyone can really think about it rather than the people who are really analyzing older movies. And because those people have to really, really pay deep attention and really dissect into it. While nowadays, anyone can be able to watch it and be like, oh, this is about racism. This is about classism. This is about sexism.
Exactly. But I think horror movies are great on my end. I do like a lot of them. 2022, one of the best years for horror.
I can appreciate horror.
Yeah.
I won't watch it, but I will appreciate it. I think
a few.
Yeah, we're gonna watch a few for the podcast, which are ones that Lyrica thinks I can handle.
Yeah.
And if she doesn't think, she'll tell me when to close my eyes.
Yeah.
I understand.
We were gonna do Barbarian, and I cannot wait. I love Barbarian.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch Barbarian. That's gonna be next episode. Yeah. We'll do that.
And live for Barbarian.
I'm super excited. That came out when? 2021?
2022. It was part of the stacked 2022 year where so many good ones came out. Like The Menu came out. Pearl, X came out. Just Smile came out. Just so many good ones.
Yeah. All those movies she's listed are the ones that she's going to make me watch. Yeah. And I think that are on our list.
Well, maybe now that I've watched Evil Dead Rise, Smile is no longer going to affect me because that's what happened when It Chapter 2 wrecked me. Mm-hmm. Then I moved on to Smile. Mm-hmm. And now I'm on Evil Dead Rise. But now I've kind of gotten to the point where I kind of want to rewatch Evil Dead Rise because I did like it, even though it traumatized me.
No. No, you're not. You're not watching it.
Maybe not for a while. Yeah. But I feel like I could handle it again. But also, I don't think I want to, be alone in a dark area for a bit.
So you gotta wait until your boyfriend comes and watches it. Either watches it with you or is staying the night.
Yeah.
Because I'm not spending the night in your room.
I need constant, except this week I've been fine. I mean, I've been tired, so I think that helps.
Just exhausted and passed out.
Yeah. But
don't even think about it. Lay in bed, sleep the whole night.
Yeah.
Bomb.
I'll be fine.
Yeah. I'm not watching it with you.
Yeah. Yeah, you won't.
No. Especially baby ripped arms off? No.
Yeah. Well, I guess he was tween boy, but it's
still a baby. Compared to us, it's a baby.
Yeah, and that movie is just they killed the teenagers in the family, and there was the 8-year-old. It was I don't know, this movie could kill that 8-year-old. I don't know. They could do it.
They could.
Yeah, and then also the main character, the aunt, she's pregnant, and the demon was oh, 2 souls for the price of 1? Great. The demon don't care that they're kids, so it put
the demon don't give a shit.
Give it a bigger strain of this 8-year-old, she could die. The other kids, they died. She could die too. Spoiler, she makes that alive. You're not gonna watch that. And also I already said spoiler. Warning. Yeah. She got out with the 8-year-old, but they're probably gonna be traumatized for the rest of their life.
You know what's weird though? That movie traumatized you. Was it because of the horror aspects? It was gory and gross, or was it because of the kids could be killed any moment?
It was that, and also just I think another big thing is if a horror movie that's very contained also freaks me out, which doesn't fall suit with Smile though, because that's not contained. But this one, they're in the apartment for the majority of the movie.
Oh, and not leaving?
Yeah, because an earthquake happened that took out the stairs and the elevator's not working. And it's just, I don't know, it's very creepy. Mm-hmm. They finally do make it out of those really disturbing imagery.
What I was going to compare, but that makes more sense, was, Train to Busan you really like, even though it's zombies and you hate zombies. But, they killed kids. They killed a high school team.
Yeah.
A whole high school team. Yeah. So,
this was a little bit more, I don't know, sad, like I said.
Another song was pretty sad.
Yeah, but
that ending makes me cry every single time. I won't say it, but it will make me cry every single time.
Yeah. And the baseball team, I just, they died. Like, there was only, 2 people that I really knew from that team. The girl that was with them, and then the cute guy, and, the rest of them you don't really know a lot about, so I'm just like, zombie movie, you die.
Kill the kids!
Yeah. Evil Dead Rise is just...
Something about it. Don't bite your nail.
They're mean.
You're gonna break your nail.
The actress in that, though, she's gonna get snubbed, but,
The actress who's the mom or the aunt?
Who's the mom, she,
Why do you think they get snubbed for awards?
Because horror movies are not, seen as, highbrow,
Not like Leonardo DiCaprio. No offense to his win, but
well, usually
those kind of movies that are I don't know.
They're high prestige movies, the ones that go to Academy Awards. Or honestly, most of those movies I don't like just because they're so boring to me because they're just being too they're needed because some of them do talk about really good things, but they're trying to be very prestigious and scholarly and it's not a movie made for entertainment, I should say. Which some horror movies are they're made for entertainment, but then some of them are trying to be a little bit more highbrow. But they still entertain me. Where these movies, I don't know. I'm just not an Academy Awards.
Well, you know what they should do is kind of what they do with the music. You coughed.
Sorry.
And what they do with the music awards, where there's the hip hop. Well, there's a hip hop separate award.
Yeah.
Then the normal big award thing, iHeart Music Award thing, and then Country Music Award thing. They need to do that with movies. And have a horror award ceremony. Does Dead Meat do that? Do they do horror awards?
Yeah, they've done it.
Our cats are arguing.
Go-Go's literally
on top of her. Goyani, not get off. Get away from her. Why are you so mean?
Is she on top of her?
No, she was just looking down on her. She
Yeah.
was on top of her.
I don't know. They always just get snubbed because they're not seen as that they have any substance, even though they do. Yeah. No offense to Academy movies. I know people like them. They're just not my thing. I always say I have favorite movies that are film movies and then movies that are for entertainment. And usually my favorite film movies are my favorites because they're well crafted and there's a lot to talk about, but they're not movies that are my comfort movies that I'm going to go rewatch again. I usually tend to like movies for more entertainment, and then if they have entertainment, mixed with, commentary on something, then those are my, absolute favorite. But if it's just solely, meant to be, commentary on a certain subject, that's when I kind of check out.
Yeah.
And I get bored. Just get bored. They're not for me.
Which is interesting because you also those we talked about in the first episode. I can't remember the name of them. A movie is about a person. It's not a documentary.
Oh,
Elvis, the Elvis
the biographical movies.
Yeah.
Well, those ones usually there's a sense of entertainment. I think the Elvis one is very flashy. I get to listen to Elvis music.
Yeah, it does have music in it.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
And all of them are all music based, so there is some entertainment. Never mind. I guess I'm kind of the opposite because I like documentaries.
Yeah.
But I guess there's some, I don't want to say entertainment because usually they're about bad things.
Intriguing.
But there's something intriguing about them because they usually go in depth about stuff. So I like, and also it's good for when I'm at work and I just need to listen to something. I listen to some pretty good documentaries. I just listened to one. It wasn't a documentary on a streaming site. It was on YouTube. Those are really good. They have interrogation videos and then they kind of piece them apart and explain their micro expressions or their behavior, their body behavior and everything. So that stuff I find interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the boring one, you're the fun one.
Yeah.
I found that out.
I just love a good entertainment. But, yeah, I think that's also why I like horror films. They're just very entertaining. And they scare me. Sometimes you just like to be scared. It's like it makes you feel alive.
Mm-hmm. Also, this is totally off the topic, but this reminded me of something. I don't know what it reminded me of, but what it triggered my memory of it. But somebody said we should do Shark Tale.
Yes.
Which I'm adding to the list right now. But do you have any closing thoughts, arguments, etc., etc.?
I also think that because we feel suppressed, and that's also why we like to let it out. That was the only other thing I was thinking about.
Oppressed or depressed?
Suppressed.
Oh, suppressed.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like our desires and stuff like that. We're supposed to suppress them, and in horror movies we can just let it all out and not be suppressed.
Yeah. I agree. Or oppressed.
Yeah.
Suppressed and oppressed together as one. Sorry if this wasn't super entertaining. I was really low energy today.
No.
I'm just so tired of everyone's shit.
Yeah.
You held this episode, basically. You had a lot of interesting things.
Yeah. I probably don't sound very scholarly, but I'm trying to be more like
Well, you don't need to be scholarly. We don't need a teacher. No offense to teachers. Educational podcasts are great, but we don't need that for our podcast.
Yeah.
We're entertaining. Maybe not today, but we're entertaining.
Yeah, exactly.
Goyani has found her spot behind my laptop.
To go. It's
gonna end. You gotta move. But all right. Well, I still don't like horror movies.
I still love them.
So we're a perfect blend.
Yeah.
Well, I do like horror movies. I just don't like the gory horror movies.
Yeah.
And the movies that are just scary to be scary.
Mm-hmm.
And I also fucking hate... What was that movie that we watched? With the goat baby?
The sheep movie?
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
It was some foreign film.
Yeah, it was about a lamb. That movie actually... I've seen be billed not as a horror movie. It's more like a fairy tale. Like a fantasy. It's
written as a horror movie. No, it says as a genre as a horror. And I went, not scary. Well, it's not super scary.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird as fuck.
It's weird.
But that was a horrible movie. I think it won an award. It's a bad movie.
Yeah.
So many people were like, this is so highbrow. This is so good. And I was like, what?
That's when I checked out because people were like, wow, there's nothing really happening in this movie. And then you just sit there and you think about it. I'm like, I'm bored. I don't want to sit there and think about it. I'm sorry, that's just not me.
It's not.
If you want to do that, that's fine. And that movie was made, and of course people like it. And that's their thing. It's just not my thing.
Oh, you're gonna be nice. I'm gonna be the mean one then. Horrible movie. If you like it, you need better taste. I'm just gonna say it because that is a bad movie. No, hold on. Okay, it was bad up to
sheep joke.
No,
that's a bad.
I almost did, but it's bad up until the end, minute or two. Well, I'll say 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I'll do the 5 to 10 minutes. The ending of the 5 to 10 minutes of that movie is fantastic. I love that part. But it was not worth how long was it? 2.5 hours?
Yeah.
Not worth it. Do not watch it. It's a bad movie. If you watch it and you like it, please watch anything else.
Yeah.
But don't let that be your favorite.
That's when you feed into watch Friends.
Watch Friends. Friends is so much better. So much better. All right. But you have to say the first part.
Don't be an admin.
Go watch Friends.
Yes.
The TV show. Not your actual friends.
Yeah. That'd be creepy.
And ready for the last part?
Yeah.
Cut.
Cheer at the end.